Have you ever wondered how a simple Austrian lad could become one of the most feared dictators in history? Our tale begins in the late 19th century in a small town in Austria. Here, a young boy named Adolf Hitler was born into a world of struggle and strife. His father, a stern man, was a civil servant, and his mother, a tender-hearted woman, nurtured dreams of her son becoming a civil servant as well. But young Adolf had other plans. He was a dreamer, an artist, with an aspiration to become a painter, much to his father's dismay. The city of Vienna, the heart of arts and culture, soon beckoned him. It was here that Hitler's dreams were shattered and his spirit was broken. His applications to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts were repeatedly rejected, and he found himself living in the gloom of poverty, his dreams fading like the colors on his canvas. Yet, it was in this city that Hitler's political ideologies began to take shape. Influenced by the radical right-wing rhetoric that was gaining momentum in Vienna, he began to form his own ideas about nationalism, anti-Semitism, and the vision of a racially pure state. When World War I engulfed the world in flames, Hitler found himself in the trenches serving the German army. The experience was transformative. The brutality of war, the loss of comrades, the sting of defeat, all these experiences hardened his resolve and further fueled his radical ideologies. In the post-war years, Hitler found a platform for his views in the German Workers' Party. His charisma and his fiery speeches began to gather followers, marking the start of his political journey. It was here that Hitler started to morph from an aspiring painter into a budding dictator. This was the beginning of Hitler's journey, a path that would lead him to a place of unparalleled power and horror. From a struggling artist to the Chancellor of Germany, how did this transformation occur? In the aftermath of the First World War, Germany was a nation in turmoil. The Weimar Republic, the democratic government set up in Germany in 1919, was struggling with economic instability and political unrest. It was during this chaotic period that Adolf Hitler found his calling in politics. Joining the German Workers' Party in 1919, Hitler quickly ascended through the ranks due to his charismatic speeches and his ability to tap into the discontent of the German people. By 1921, he had become the party's leader, and it was under his leadership that the party was renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party for short. Hitler's political ideology was deeply rooted in anti-Semitism and the belief in Aryan supremacy. He blamed Jews for Germany's defeat in World War I and the economic hardships that followed. He also propagated the idea of a superior Aryan race, and these divisive views resonated with many Germans who were looking for someone to blame for their struggles. In the early 1930s, the Weimar Republic was on the brink of collapse. The Great Depression had wreaked havoc on the German economy, and the government was unable to maintain order. Seizing the opportunity, Hitler and the Nazi Party campaigned vigorously, promising stability, prosperity, and a return to national greatness. In 1933, after a series of political maneuvers and backroom deals, Hitler was appointed as the Chancellor of Germany. But this was not enough for him. Within a year, following the death of President Hindenburg, Hitler declared himself the Führer, or the absolute ruler of Germany. The transition from a struggling artist to a soldier disillusioned by defeat to the most powerful man in Germany was complete. Hitler, once a disheartened soldier, had now become the Führer, the absolute ruler of Germany. Once in power, how did Hitler manage to maintain his control and carry out his horrific plans? The reign of Adolf Hitler was marked by the iron fist of authoritarian rule, the chilling silence of suppressed political dissent, and the implementation of devastating racial policies. Hitler's totalitarian regime wielded fear as a weapon, making sure that no voice of opposition could rise against him. The Night of Long Knives in June of 1934 was a chilling example of this. Hitler, along with his paramilitary organization, the SS, orchestrated a purge that led to the execution of roughly 85 people, including prominent figures of the SA, Hitler's own political party. This event served a dual purpose. It eliminated potential threats within his own ranks and sent a clear message to the German people about the consequences of dissent. In 1935, Hitler further solidified his authority by implementing the Nuremberg Laws, a series of anti-Semitic legislations that stripped German Jews of their rights, marking the beginning of the Holocaust. These laws, based on a twisted ideology of racial purity, were a clear reflection of Hitler's vision for a racially pure Germany. In the midst of this reign of terror, Hitler's ambitions expanded beyond Germany's borders. The invasion of Poland in September of 1939 marked the beginning of World War II. Hitler justified this aggressive expansion as a necessity for the survival of the German race, further propagating his racial policies on a global scale. The world watched in stunned silence as Poland fell, marking the start of a war that would consume humanity for 6 long years. The reign of Adolf Hitler was a period of fear, suppression, and unmitigated terror. His actions left a permanent scar on humanity, reminding us of the devastating consequences of unchecked power and the perils of racial hatred. Hitler's reign was marked by fear, suppression, and the beginning of a war that would consume the world. How did Hitler's reign of terror finally come to an end? As the 40s unfolded, World War II raged on. Hitler, once a charismatic leader, was now a figure increasingly erratic, making decisions that would seal the fate of his Third Reich. The Battle of Stalingrad stands as a stark testament to this. In 1942, Hitler's obsessive pursuit of victory led to one of the deadliest battles in history. His refusal to retreat, despite the dire conditions and overwhelming Soviet forces, resulted in a catastrophic defeat for the Germans. In the midst of this global conflict, Hitler's most horrific act was set into motion: the Holocaust. It was a systematic, state-sponsored genocide where 6 million Jews were mercilessly killed. This grim period stands as a haunting reminder of the depths humanity can plunge to when guided by hate and prejudice. But as 1944 dawned, the tide of war began to turn against the Third Reich. The D-Day invasion, a massive Allied operation, marked the start of the end for Hitler's reign. Thousands of troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, dealing a crippling blow to the German forces. In the final months of the war, as the Allies closed in, Hitler's behavior became increasingly unhinged. He ordered the destruction of German infrastructure to prevent their use by the Allies, a scorched earth policy that brought further suffering to the German people. Finally, in April of 1945, as Soviet troops advanced on his bunker in Berlin, Hitler made his last decision. Rather than face capture, he chose suicide. His death marked the end of the Third Reich, a 12-year reign of terror that had plunged the world into a war of unprecedented devastation. In the ruins of Berlin, Hitler's reign of terror ended, leaving a world scarred and forever changed. What is the legacy that Hitler left behind? That's a question that continues to echo through the corridors of history. As we delve into the aftermath of Hitler's reign, we find a world forever changed, a humanity forever scarred, and lessons forever etched into the annals of time. Hitler's actions ignited a global conflict that resulted in the loss of millions of lives, but the world did not succumb to despair. Instead, it rose from the ashes, determined to prevent such atrocities from happening again. One of the most significant outcomes of this collective resolve was the creation of the United Nations in 1945. An assembly of nations, the UN was born out of a shared desire for peace, aiming to foster international cooperation and prevent future wars. Hitler's reign also had a profound impact on the Jewish community. The horrific genocide, remembered as the Holocaust, led to a global sympathy for the plight of the Jewish people. This, combined with the Zionist movement, culminated in the establishment of Israel in 1948. Despite the controversy surrounding its creation, Israel stands today as a testament to the resilience of a community that survived one of the darkest periods in human history. The aftermath of World War II also saw the trials of war criminals, a groundbreaking endeavor that redefined justice on a global scale. The Nuremberg trials prosecuted those responsible for the Holocaust, setting a precedent for holding individuals accountable for crimes against humanity. It was a clear message to the world: such acts of hate and violence would not be tolerated. And so we see that Hitler's legacy is not one of power or dominance, but a reminder of the horrific consequences of unchecked hate and the importance of global unity. It speaks to the resilience of humanity, our ability to learn from our past, and our collective determination to create a better, more peaceful world. Hitler's legacy is a stark reminder of the destructive power of hate and the resilience of humanity in the face of such darkness.